as Prime Minister Modi sent National Security Advisor Ajit Dole for a key meeting with top Russian officials over in America, Donald Trump was asked by a reporter why he's criticizing India for buying legal Russian oil when the US itself continues trade with Russia.
I don't know anything about it. I'd have to check, but we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, please.
A reporter asked Trump, quote, "President Trump, India says that the US imports Russian uranium, chemicals, fertilizers, while criticizing their energy imports. What's your response to that, sir?" To this, Trump replied, quote, "I don't know anything about it. I'll have to check. We'll get back to you on that." So is Donald Trump deflecting allegations of hypocrisy, or are his advisors not informing the president of India's moves? Meanwhile, Nikki Haley also questioned Donald Trump's tactics. The Republican leader reminded Trump that India is a strong US ally, while China is the adversary. She posted on X, quote, "India should not be buying oil from Russia, but China, an adversary and the #1 buyer of Russian and Iranian oil, got a 90-day tariff pause. Don't give China a pass and burn relations with a strong ally like India," unquote. Now, Indian Prime Minister Modi enjoys tremendous popular support and will not compromise on India's interests, especially when Bharat's energy imports from Russia are legal under international law. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, remains the most popular global leader, especially after India's military victory over Pakistan, while Trump is in the 8th position. US giants continue to flock to India as well. After Google's $6 billion investment, now reports emerge that Tesla is looking to open its second showroom in India. So are Donald Trump's tariff threats on India even working? The Indian economy and Indian markets continue to defy US bullying. A day after Donald Trump threatened additional tariffs on India, Indian markets barely blinked at all, registering only a 0.3% decline. It seems investors remain largely confident on India's rise, in sharp contrast to the bloodbath in US markets where investors lost $1.1 trillion in a single day earlier this month over Trump tariff tantrums. Now, a report by State Bank of India highlights why India's economy is largely immune to Trump tariff threats and why his tariffs on India are bound to have a negative impact on the United States itself. We list the details of this informative SBI report for you in just a few minutes. Now, Donald Trump may also become the US president that completely unites the BRICS. So far, India has been the only founding member to resist a BRICS currency. But after Donald Trump's baseless accusations and tariff threats, New Delhi may finally give its approval for the bloc to challenge the dollar. Heightening the trade tensions with the world's 4th largest economy, US President Donald Trump has once again threatened India over its purchase of crude oil from Russia. Now, Trump lambasted India on social media platform Truth Social, saying, quote, "India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, they are then, for much of the oil purchased, selling it on the open market for big profits. They don't care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine. Because of this, I will be substantially raising the tariff paid by India to the USA." Now, firstly, it's the US customers who pay tariffs and not India to America. But more importantly, this statement exposes US double standards. Not only is America supplying weapons to the war in Ukraine, but also having trade relations with Russia as we speak. Now his 25% tariffs on goods imported from India will also include this unspecified penalty. India officially hit back to Trump's fresh set of measures by issuing a lengthy yet strongly worded response on the 4th of August. In a statement published by the Ministry of External Affairs, the government accused the United States and the European Union of hypocrisy. MEA explained, quote, "India began importing from Russia because traditional supplies were diverted to Europe after the outbreak of the conflict. However, it is revealing that the very nations criticizing India are themselves indulging in trade with Russia," unquote. The Ministry of External Affairs pointed out the flourishing trade between European Union and Russia. It was worth 67.5 billion euros just last year in 2024 in the middle of the war. Now that is significantly more than India's total trade with Russia that year or subsequently. The Indian government also highlighted how United States continues to import uranium for its nuclear industry and palladium for its EV industry, along with fertilizers as well as chemicals from Russia. And guess what? Donald Trump has not even dared to impose reciprocal tariffs on Putin. The NEA added, quote, "The targeting of India is unjustified and unreasonable. Like any major economy, India will take all necessary measures to safeguard its national interests and economic security," unquote. Donald Trump is ensuring the United States will have no strong allies left when it decides to take on China over Taiwan or control of the Indo-Pacific. Sources revealed to Reuters that India will keep purchasing cheap crude oil from Russia despite US President Trump's threats of penalties. Now, one of the sources stated, quote, "These are long-term oil contracts. It is not so simple to just stop buying overnight," unquote. Justifying India's oil purchases from Russia, a second source stated India's imports of Russian grains had helped avoid a global surge in oil prices, which have remained subdued despite Western curbs on the Russian oil sector. In fact, former US Ambassador to India, Eric Garcetti, echoed the same remarks last year at an event when he defended India's oil purchase from Russia. He stated, "They, or India, bought Russian because we wanted someone to buy Russian oil at a price cap. We did not want oil prices going up, and they, or India, fulfilled that." Okay, so how has the State Bank of India reacted? A research by SBI has called Trump's trade embargo a very bad business decision, and its impact on the United States will be worse compared to any impact on India. The report claims it may lead to lower GDP, higher inflation, and a weaker dollar for America. SBI research outlined how India remains unstirred by the tariffs imposed, as the mysterious forces of the global supply chain should auto-adjust and cushion the impact. Indian businesses and firms would do well to reinvigorate the Made in India as a hallmark of unquestionable quality. The report further elaborated and compared the two economies, India and the US, and claimed that, not surprisingly, US GDP, inflation and currency face greater risk of downgrades compared to India, unquote. Moreover, due to higher prices, the citizens of the United States will be bearing the brunt, with average American household facing $2,400 surge in costs in just the short term. It's simple. If US businesses cannot import economical stuff from India, then Americans will have to pay more to source it from somewhere. The paper predicts India's economy and GDP will be impacted by 0.2 to 0.3% only. However, the big threat is to the Indian pharma sector, which alone makes up 14% of Indian exports to America. Now, this allows American citizens to procure affordable medicines, but I guess Donald Trump has different plans. If 200 tariffs on pharma is implemented, it will significantly increase US effective tariff rate on India even further. With Trump tariffs now on nearly 70 countries, it could lead to de-acceleration in America's economic growth, higher inflation, and weakening of the dollar. Simply because the United States itself cannot make so much stuff internally, so it needs to import it. Additionally, the profits for American importers might decline now, with research and development down the line stagnating. OmniActive Health Technologies Executive Chairman MD Sanjaya Mariwala describes how the duties may interrupt the smooth trade flow and inflate US drug costs, stall treatments, and even put greater pressure on American healthcare budgets. Speaking on the limited impact of US duties on India, Jonathan Schissel from Westminster Asset Management confirmed how India is at a better position economically when compared to the European Union. Calling India primarily domestic and consumption-driven story, he added, quote, "Exports, particularly in manufacturing and other specific sectors, do matter but aren't the primary drivers of the broader economy. This makes India have a reasonably strong hand in negotiations." Now, speaking in terms of diplomacy, as Washington and New Delhi ties hit a road bump, it is unclear how both will cooperate countering China in the Indo-Pacific region. National security and Indo-Pacific analyst Derek J. Grossman said in an interview, quote, "I kind of wonder how the Trump administration is now thinking about having India play a role in the Indo-Pacific strategy to counter China, because that seems like it's really going by the wayside," unquote. He called Donald Trump unpredictable for having a 25% tariff against one of your key partners in the Indo-Pacific, a fellow democratic country which is soon to be the world's third largest economy. For India, it would be wise to let the storm pass. It would be more diplomatically and strategically beneficial to have a partnership with America as a counterweight to China, rather than a trade war with your largest trading partner. However, any partnership has to be mutually beneficial, and Trump just doesn't get it. But what do you believe? Can the Indian economy continue to thrive and shine despite Trump tariffs? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button, and subscribe to Inconnect News.